Hey guys, how are you guys doing today? If you're new around here, my name is Ron, and today I'm gonna be combining all of my Monstera Albo plants, because they're plants now, they're no longer cuttings, into one big pot. I'm gonna make a bushy Monstera Albo. So about 5 months ago, I transplanted 2 of my Monstera Albo cuttings from water into soil. And about 7 months ago, I took another 2 air layer propagations and transplanted those into smaller terracotta pots of soil. It's been 5 months and 7 months of growth for those 4 cuttings. I'm just gonna combine them. I'm gonna make a really thick looking Monstera Albo. So this is like the plant of my dreams, not just the plant itself, but having a super lush, bushy pot. There's also another reason why I'm deciding to repot one of the plants, and that is because I recently found soil mites in the soil. Now, soil mites are not to be confused with aphids or spider mites that tend to eat up the plant above the soil. Soil mites live in the soil and they break down organic material. If they run out of organic material, then they might attack your roots and your plant. Soil mites are not really considered pests. They're more of a nuisance since they don't really attack the plant, but they can become an infestation if they multiply and multiply and multiply. At one point, I saw like, I don't know, 20 soil mites on just one piece of orchid bark. And I was kind of panicking, but apparently the remedy is to completely dry out your soil because soil mites prefer moist soil. So just like fungus gnat, if you have a fungus gnat problem, dry out your soil and then they'll just disappear. It's kind of hard to gauge whether or how dry the soil is unless you're using a moisture meter. But even then, I don't want to like completely underwater this plant because it's like my most expensive plant. So I am just gonna repot it. So I'm gonna depot the plant and then rinse out the roots and then combine all 4 plants. So stick around, and at the end of the video, we can see how bushy it's actually gonna be. Enough babbling, and let me just show you the plants. If you cannot already see, are right behind me. Okay, so let me just show you the mother plant first, since we're not gonna be touching her today. And here she is. She's still in a small, what is this, a 6-inch pot? I don't remember. Yeah, but let me show you the incision point where I made the cutting, or the last cutting, right here. And as you can tell, it grew a new plant right here. So this is left exposed. After it pushed out all of this growth, look at all of these aerial roots that came out. So that's how I know it's doing really, really well. So the first leaf that popped out is this one. And as with all propagations, the mother plant will then push out a weird looking leaf, as you can see right there. After that one came this one, which I was getting kind of nervous because this is not a lot of variegation compared to like the original leaf right here. Believe it or not, the original leaf is still hanging on. This is crazy. And then after that leaf, it pushed out its first fenestration right here. And then 2 fenestrations, and then more variegation. And then it pushed out 1 variegation or fenestration right there. And then this is the last leaf. But peekaboo, there's one more leaf on the way with a really good amount of variegation right there. So I can't wait to see that one unfurl. So yeah, this is the mother plant. Let me set her aside. And then here are the two transplants in the terracotta pots. So with this one, this was the original leaf cutting, and then it pushed out this leaf, beautiful half moon. I thought it was going to continue that because this one was sort of like a half moon, but then the leaf after that one is more marbled, which is still beautiful. I think I prefer the marbled look instead of the half moon. I don't know, because I like the different patterns that always comes out. Like, you'll never know what kind of variegation comes out. With half moons, you always know what it's gonna look like, right? So that's that. And then this one has beautiful marbling. This is what I'm talking about. This is like the perfect leaf for me. But after that one, this was the first leaf that popped out. Still pretty and cute. After that one came this one. It's like almost all green, right? So I got really nervous. But then after that one, the variegation is starting to come back. So this one actually grows faster than this one, because this one threw out 3 more leaves, whereas this one only pushed out those 2. I don't know. But the pot with the soil mites is this one right here. Okay, I'll show you an example of what a soil mite looks like. I managed to get one on camera, and I don't know, they kind of look like red spider mites to me. Well, I've never really had a red spider mite infestation, but according to the Googles, they kind of look similar. The only difference is that these soil mites do not hang out on the leaves. They're only in the soil. So I'm kind of nervous. Actually, I'm just grossed out to be touching the soil with my bare hands, but I'm gonna have to do it anyway. So let's get started. Also, I'm gonna be combining all 3 of these into this pot. I'm pretty sure this is enough room. This plant prefers to be a little bit root bound, and because this is kind of, I think it's glazed actually. I think it's glazed on the inside. So I'm gonna keep the same chunky mix of soil. I'm not gonna be using any of the existing soil because I don't want to jeopardize the new soil with soil mites. I'm hoping that the root ball in here is not tremendously big, so that there's enough space for the other 2 plants. But we're about to find out. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so first I'm going to depot the terracotta pots. Is that even a word? Depot, but it's spelled the same way as like Home Depot. I'm gonna depot these pots first. This is like burping a baby. I'm just checking to see if there's actually any soil mites in here, because I'm not planning on rinsing these ones out. So if you're wondering, these 4-inch terracotta pots dry out within like 4 days. So I have to make sure to water them at least once or twice a week. I think with every plant that you have, you really want to find a leaf that will become your indicator leaf. And what I mean by that is, usually there's like a telltale sign that the plant needs water. And with this plant, the leaves tend to curl up a little bit. And so that's how I know the plant needs water. And also, in addition to that, the bottom of the terracotta pot will feel dry to the touch. If it still feels a little bit moist, that means there's still some moisture in there. So I would only water this when it's like almost completely dry. And it seems to be happy. And I did end up using a chopstick as a trellis. or as a stake. Okay, so here's the root ball. Smaller than I expected. It feels very dry, but it is due for watering anyway, so maybe it's just that it's dry. But I'm trying to loosen it up. I don't see any root rot, so that's a good sign. Okay, so there it is. So cute. It has like the cutest aerial roots right here poking out. And then Home Depot, the other one. Oh, there we go. That's the root ball. Okay. There's this one. Yummy roots. Now we're going to be attacking the pot with the soil mites. It's a big mama. Okay, so first I'm just going to remove the Coco coir pole. So I know we kind of use a generic term of moss pole, but this Coco coir pole should not be confused with moss pole, because moss poles use sphagnum moss. And I think sphagnum moss tends to hold moisture a lot better than this Coco coir. So if you're really trying to encourage your plants to root inside of a stake like this, then definitely go for a moss pole and not a Coco coir pole, because when you're misting it, the moss pole, the sphagnum moss pole, will for sure hold more moisture. But in my climate, or at least in this plant room, the humidity level tends to hover around 45 to 50%, which is just enough, I think, for a plant's aerial roots to be happy. So I don't necessarily keep up with misting my Coco coir poles. I only have one sphagnum moss pole, and that's supporting my baby Monstera deliciosa. And I don't even miss that either. And you can see that the roots are really happy, especially with that kind of being like right next to my humidifier. So I don't really miss my poles. It kind of sounds funny, huh? But yeah, you can totally do that. It's just a lot of maintenance, especially if you live in a climate that's more on the dry side. You're gonna find that you're misting the poles like every other day, if not every day, or maybe even a couple times a day. So I'm not really about that, because this plant room is relatively small in the first place, so the humidity tends to be kept within the four walls of this room, because I also even close my vent, my AC vent, so that helps to keep the humidity level. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents on moss or Coco coir poles. They really are great at supporting plants because of their very thick and rigid structure. They're made out of PVC pipe and then wrapped around with Coco coir, at least the Coco coir ones. It's really up to you if you want to mist your poles regularly. I mean, misting it is definitely better than not misting it at all. Let's just remove this pole first. So the only thing I don't like about using these poles is the fact that it's made out of wood. And I think at the bottom here that goes into the soil, I don't think it's treated with any type of waterproof sealant, so it can rot. And as I'm touching this, yep, it's very soft to the touch. Look, I can even like make an indent in there. So I'm gonna toss this one and not use it. Okay, let's turn this upside down. Also, back to the soil mite topic. Soil mites tend to live within the top couple of inches of soil. So in theory, if you have an infestation of soil mites, you can try to remove the old top 2 inches, maybe 3 inches just to be safe, and then replacing that with fresh new soil. So you can try that also. It's kind of challenging because it is a hefty pot. Holy cow. Nice, beautiful, healthy roots right here. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's root bound, but it is a lot of roots. Now I'm just gonna try to completely remove all of this old soil, mite infested soil. And then I'll take it to the sink and rinse it off. And then I'll be right back. Okay, we are back. I ended up having to take a break and watch Netflix and have dinner because it ended up taking way too long, longer than I anticipated. But check out all these roots from the 2 cuttings here. Well, 2 plants now. They were so entangled within each other. So that was the most frustrating part, was trying to separate all of the roots. There was a lot of breakage, but as you can see, this is still a crazy amount of roots, right? And they're all so healthy. I don't think I even saw any signs of root rot at all. So now we're just gonna breeze through the potting up. Okay, so here is the potting mix I'm gonna be using. I've got some regular potting soil, coconut husk, coco coir, sphagnum moss, charcoal, and pumice. So this is gonna be very chunky. I think it's gonna be even chunkier than the soil mix it was in. So let's give this a stir. Okay, we zoomed out just a little bit, so I hope you guys can see, but here's the same pot. I'm pretty sure it's all gonna fit in here. It's just one of them has a super long root. Let's just put a layer. And then I'm gonna start with the biggest one here. See what I mean? So long. And healthy too. And then I'm gonna add this one. The other one that I rinsed off. I'm gonna also grab my Coco coir pole. So this is the one that I'm gonna be using. It's from Amazon. If you're interested in this one, I'll leave a link down below. But this stretches up to, or there's 2 poles in the box, and if you put them together, they are gonna be 26.4 inches. For now, I'm just gonna stick one into the pot, and then bring the 2 terracotta ones. So this might take me a minute, so bear with me while I try to get the aesthetic right. Okay, so because the stems were kind of doing like this, I decided to go for a 360 look. So the pole is directly in the middle, and I used the twist ties that came with the poles to secure all of the stems to the pole. I can probably spend a little bit more time trying to make it a little bit more tidy, but this is crazy. First of all, the amount of roots was crazy, okay? Second, trying to get everything to fit in here was crazy as well. I suspect the next time I'm gonna have to repot this, I'm gonna have to probably break the pot. Yeah, but this was kind of fun. Low-key stressful, but what do you guys think of the result? There's all of these original leaf cuttings that are sticking out, which they will probably fall off in the future, so don't worry about that. Oh, now I'm gonna add the second pole. Now that's looking a little bit more proportional. Okay, it's pretty secure in there. Now to make sure that everything is secure, we're gonna thoroughly water the plant, because the water is gonna take all of that loose soil and tuck it into all of those air gaps within the roots. Okay, I ended up adding some twine to hold some of the wonky leaves upright a little bit. So I think now it's looking really good actually. So now I'm gonna water the plant. I have some water in my watering can. And to my water, as per the usual, I'm gonna be adding Dr. Q's plant tonic, which is gonna help reduce transplant shock. So my watering can is filled with water about halfway. I'm gonna be adding 7 drops, Dr. Q's, and then now we can water the plant. Okay, so she's nice and watered. That was a lot of crazy behind the scenes stuff that you guys don't have to see, but know that a lot of work was put into this repotting. So, oh my God, I love it. It looks so lush. Let me know what you guys think. Did I make a mistake? I hope not. I'm happy. I really like it. Well, that is it for today's video, or tonight's video. It's really dark outside. It's actually really late and I made a lot of mess, but I'm gonna clean it up in the morning. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please do hit the thumbs up. And if you haven't yet already, plant scribe. All right guys, thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.